to Live at the Hive. I'm Janice Jokkel, and I am so excited to have our next guest today. She has got a story, let me tell you, and I can't wait for everyone to hear it. And she is truly a community connector. Here at the Biz Hive, we support small businesses and leaders in our community, Medina County, and surrounding areas. So let's get to it. So what do you do?
Yeah, I am the owner of Half Moon Yoga here in Medina. I'm also a yoga teacher, Reiki master. I do one-on-one coaching, breath work, sound healing. The list goes on and on. What I do, yeah.
Okay, good. And how did you get started? Like, how did that journey, what's your story? How did you get started?
Oh goodness, many years ago, I actually became a personal trainer, and how I was envisioning that personal training route was to help women feel good in their body now, not when they got to their goals. So unfortunately though, that doesn't really work out well with a corporate gym. And so I had to back out of that, and I just got led into Reiki. Reiki led into meditation and yoga, and then I kept getting woken up in the middle of the night, like, you need to create something. This is what you're meant to do, and I just went for it. For a long time, I worked out of my home, just mostly working virtually, and then when Half Moon was up for sale back in 2020, I jumped right on it and moved my virtual business to an in-person business.
Wow, that's exciting. So that journey started in 2021.
Yes.
And it's 2023.
Yeah.
And you've had a couple jolts in your business.
Yes, definitely.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so we were recovering from COVID and the lockdowns and trying to build the business back up, and especially with a new owner, new vision, just really building all of that. And then we got hit with the news that my building was purchased and it was going to be demolished for the build out of a hotel. And what's really funny is I got news that I could buy Half Moon on vacation in South Carolina, and then I also got the same news that my building was purchased and was going to be demolished also on vacation in South Carolina. And I'll never forget looking at my husband and just crying. Like, we're shopping, and I'm crying. And I'm like, well, at least I can say I did it. And he was like, what? You're not done. You can move. And that thought never even crossed my mind. So I, of course, had a ton of emails and calls and text messages asking if I heard the news. Of course I did. I was terrified. I was met with a lot of grief. Didn't know how I was going to make this work. I mean, like I said, we were still recovering from COVID. So I just relied heavily on my community, and they all just wrapped me up in their arms of just like, we've got this, and we're going to make this work. And so I did hold a fundraiser, and my community really came together and supported this move. I wouldn't have been able to do it without them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that is amazing. And that is what community is all about. Hence why I birthed Community Connectors 330. It's amazing when we all come together for a common purpose, whatever that purpose is. It could be nonprofit or whatever, but when a small business like yours is hit with, this was not your choice, right? This was not your doing. Like, you were doing your business, and then all of a sudden something like this happens.
Yeah.
And, people look at me in the community as a pivoter because I've pivoted from one business to another because of whatever reason. But in your situation, you didn't have a choice, and you paused, you thought through it, you had people rally around you, and now where are you?
Yeah, we are in the most beautiful location. What started off as this deep grief, this fear, was able to transform into trust. And I looked at only a couple different locations because I started right away because I wanted to stay on the square as much as possible. And I knew that there was going to be 7 to 8 businesses looking for space as well. So luckily I only had to look at a couple until I found the toy store. It was the toy store in Miss Molly's Tea Room, and that had a whole new build out, and it is such a beautiful location. Like, this turned out to be the biggest blessing in disguise for us. And now we have some subleasers in there, and it's really a wellness space.
Really?
Yeah.
So tell me about that. Tell me about who else do you have tenants? Who else is subleasing with you?
We have Medina Massage and Skincare, who is the absolute best.
Yep, we're going to be hearing from her next. Next week, you'll be hearing from her.
And then we also have Spacious Roots. She does hypnotherapy and Reiki, and she also does some sort of sound healing with the biofield. She's fantastic as well.
Interesting, interesting. How will you leave your legacy behind? What's that legacy going to look like?
The legacy I want to leave behind is it's kind of two-parted. My whole vision with movement and showing up for ourselves and meditation is all to create home within, to create the safe and sacred space within ourselves. We have everything that we need within us. It just starts with that very gentle and courageous journey inwards to find that. So just knowing that you have everything that you need within you already. And on the same side of that is finding your community. For the longest time when I worked from home, I thought that I would absolutely thrive and love that. I am rather introverted, except for when I'm in my community. It's my very safe space. But I was really lonely and lacking that human connection, and being able to be in this community with our retreats and our workshops and our classes, and just seeing students show up just as students and then become friends and then turn into family. I often refer to these students as my chosen family. We have to find our community and allow ourselves to rely on them, because that support is there. So we have ourselves first and foremost. Anything that we want to experience on the outside has to start within us. But finding your people is very important.
Tell our viewers today words of wisdom. What would you like to leave? What would you like to leave our conversation with? Words of wisdom. We're always learning. We're lifelong learners, right? And I would love to learn words of wisdom from you today.
Yeah. I mean, find the ways to love yourself. Find those ways to show up for yourself. Today we're recording on Valentine's Day, and the theme that I've had at our studio this month has been ahimsa. Ahimsa is a part of our yamas. Our yamas make up our 8 limbs of yoga, and ahimsa means nonviolence. This is nonviolence towards ourselves and nonviolence towards others. And again, back to what I just said, anything we want to cultivate on the outside has to start within us. So figuring out those ways to find that ahimsa for ourselves by the ways that we talk to ourselves, the ways that we allow ourselves to rest, and the ways that we nourish our body, that is going to be what can transform the world around us, by how we are treating our own self and the belief that we have about ourselves.
Very good. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm really honored that you were able to take time out of your busy day, because I know you're so busy, and I really thank you so much for being on our show.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, listen, live at the Hive every week, we are going to share words of wisdom from community members and people in our own area to share what their legacy is going to be left, and words of wisdom that they'll share with us to encourage us to keep going and, most importantly, thrive. Toodles!